Okay, how's it going, everyone? Chris
Everyone,
Durian here with Gankun, the classic Gardeno games. Oh, it's really only just us two, but we're going to talk about the card releases. This has been something we've been wanting to do for a while. Is like go over the newly revealed cards from the Booster Pack '03 each week. So we're just going to do this week. I know we have a backlog. Maybe we'll do a backlog of the reveals at some point, but I think I'm okay just kind of going with each week. I don't know how you feel.
yeah, I think we could probably do just one backlog later where we just zip through everything. I think there's not been too many of the triple R's or like the really key cards announced yet,
Yeah, that's true.
so it shouldn't be too bad to catch up.
Yeah. So we've got a few. There's a few sources. The main one is like X/Twitter or Facebook, and then they've been doing weekly videos, which is great because I don't think they were doing weekly videos last time. It was kind of like a little bit more sporadic. So I've been enjoying the weekly videos. Anyway, let's get started. We have 6. I think 6 cards, and then 3 from the video, so 9 cards total. And but like the first one is Ultraman Orb Burnmite, which I don't think there's much to talk about with this card, so I'm happy to just keep going. The
Yeah,
classic BP up, but really nothing to say there. The next one is Ultraman Zero Beyond, um, which I have thoughts about this card now based on what we saw in the video, but so I think we can come back to this one. It'd be
yeah. Let's come
make a
back to
little bit
this
more
one.
sense, but by itself, a discard one, draw one that only works on triple that is the 16,000 is not very impressive to me. All right. What are your thoughts on the Geed?
Let's see. So this was the send a top discard. I want to come back to this one again. I have to remember some of the wording now looking at this because this is sending the top card from your deck to discard area.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple different cards that this could piggyback off of Hikari, technically. You could do a level
True.
3 Hikari
A little bit,
activate because it's going from
a
deck
little
to
bit
discard.
RNG, but yeah, it could work.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking of like interactions. I did want to come back after we look at the zero scene. I forgot if it's hand-based discards or
The
deck-based
spoiler is it's
discards.
only hand based. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's one I was wondering. But yeah, so I think it's kind of a little bit random, right?
Yeah.
You have to have a power or arm type, but it's otherwise free. You don't have to like burn a card to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and by itself, giving your Ultra Hero type power um, is hard to say without seeing the rest of the cards. We've seen one card, I believe, that
Mm-hmm.
benefits power types specifically. So then these can start to work together. The other ones I can think of is Arc has increased power types.
Right.
So then if you give your speed type Luna armor or something the power type, then I forget which arc does it, but you're able to give it BP increases. It's I don't know if that's the best interaction, but it does open the door if you're going to try these things.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what other power types will or power type based effects will have.
Yeah, I think for me a big thing is like how much of your deck can you get into power and armed types and
Mm.
still have like a reasonable deck because um I don't really want to like a 50-50 when I really need this effect to work. Um One thing that I thought of just now that I think is kind of funny is you could play this with Blazar and then kind of rearrange the top cards,
Mm.
and if there's one that like you don't want to see at all, you just get rid of it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting. But yeah, like you said, I think we'll have to wait for the power types. Some of the one of the cards that we have saw earlier that we will have to go back and look at, which
Mm.
gives a BP boost to power type Geeds, which is this card. So that's probably what they intended for this card is to maybe give one of your Geeds that isn't a power type into the power type so that you can boost it with the I believe it's Ultraman Zero Beyond
Hmm.
that supports the Geed. So, speaking of boosting power types, is the new Ultraman Z,
Hmm.
which is going to give one of our power type Ultra Heroes plus 1000 BP when it's played.
So, I mean, if you go back to the previous one, we were just talking about this,
Mhm.
but these actually don't work together because this is an activate. The
Yeah,
other one's an
you're
on
right.
play. So you wouldn't be able to give someone power and then do the BP increase unless you're doing something like Blazer or something that lets you get out.
Right, right. It's a little awkward,
This,
you know.
yeah. But at the same time, I mean, I don't think with all the new Geek cards coming out, there'll probably be one really big triple R or double R that you'll build your deck around. And I think a lot of
Yeah,
these are really nice to have and could potentially fuel other engines, but we have to really see what those will look like.
yeah, that's very true. I think one thing that's nice about this card in just like a vacuum, I guess, is that if you play it as a double, like it's going to be 11,000 by itself, worst case scenario.
Mhm.
And for Ultraman Z, who doesn't really have that many like strong power cards or like strong BP level cards, like most of
Mhm.
them are like pretty weak. Having that like just an 11,000 there could be useful, but I think we have to see some more Z's before we
And
make some
the
judgments.
Yeah, and the thousand's always nice to have.
Yeah.
It's I mean, if you had to pick between this and a regular vanilla that was let's say 7K, 11K,
Mhm.
and maybe not even a triple BP available, that 1000 is always better than nothing. You could put it somewhere,
Yeah,
and
because it could go anywhere
yeah,
and
I
kind of
mean,
mess things up. That 1,000 could make a big difference, right?
it can. I'm trying to think what other triples are out there. I know there's Satiga power type that's 16K.
Mhm.
If you're matched with him with two 16Ks and then you get him to 17K, yeah, that could win the game.
Yeah, there's the Geed from the starter deck
Yep.
O2 is a power type that's a 17,000 at max, so you can
Mhm.
bump that to a nice 18, which is pretty good.
I think
But
there's
yeah,
some Gaia Ghoul
I think we
power
have to
types, but yeah.
wait, wait a little bit more on this one. There's not a lot of power type triples, I think, so it's hard to or level threes.
Mhm.
So yeah. Anyway, let's just keep moving on. This is definitely not the most exciting of the cards we have. This one we've actually seen before, but they kind of posted it again anyway. So I thought we'd talk about it. It is the box topper for the set. So this is the card you get one of every time you purchase a booster box. The Alien Metron, level 6. And when it enters play, you can reveal the top card of your opponent's deck. So you get to see your opponent's deck. If it's an Ultra Hero, then you can give any one of your Kaijus plus 1,000. We were just talking about how that plus 1,000 is pretty valuable. And then you can decide whether they draw that card or not, which is a kind of a big deal. But for me, I worry about how impactful denying your or knowing what your opponent's going to draw is really going to be in the kind of the long run. Also, it doesn't have a BP thing. What's the deal with that? Like it doesn't have the single double activator type thing. I guess they just forgot it.
Oh, yeah, maybe they forgot it. Maybe we'll see it when it's actually printed. Um,
Yeah, maybe.
yeah, no, it's a good catch. I didn't notice that till now. And I think we'll have to see what role kaiju's play when we get the rest of the kaiju's
Mhm.
revealed, especially like the Belial. A kaiju only deck or a majority kaiju deck is something we haven't really seen much of, and
Yeah.
can figure out how that would work. So if we were trying to I feel like if you're trying to see where this card would fit in like an existing deck where you have maybe like 4 or 6 kaijus versus like
Yeah.
a deck that's only kaijus, that's where oh, okay, yeah, so the
Yeah.
Japanese one has
I thought
single doubles.
maybe it's on the Japanese one. It is on the Japanese one. Single double.
Yeah, it's a typo, I guess, but yeah, so like if we see a lot of kaiju decks and then I don't remember seeing a level 5 card for this one. Uh but
Yeah, I don't
15K
remember.
otherwise is not a bad number for doubles by far.
Yeah, a 15 is
And
definitely
then the
really
effects are
strong for the
nice.
doubles. And honestly, 10,000 for the single is really good.
Mhm.
But I think my main thing is like the effect for me doesn't feel like it's very good unless you're in like turn like lane 4
Mhm, mhm.
plus,
Yep.
where like everyone's got kind of low on cards in hand, and being able to say like, okay, you get that card or you don't get that card, can make a pretty big deal. Because if you play it, on like the first turn or something, I don't think it's really going to affect, um, or the result that much. Or like if it does, then your opponent probably has a really bad hand to begin with, and yeah, you're just kind of giving up a lane for not a very strong effect.
Yeah, I don't imagine this being like a really strong early play, like for all the reasons you said. This is where I really want to see how consistency will work with the Kaiju deck. If you're able to reliably get the level 5 Metron and be able to play it as a double,
Yeah.
as a 15k, that alone is strong. It's kind of actually could even be a 16k on play against opponents, which on a new lane, 16k is most cases going to win. And then yes, if you're playing it in a later turn, it's a lot harder to beat a 16k in a new lane, and you'll have the advantage of kind of knowing what's coming up next.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna have a deck full of kaijus anyways, this one doesn't hurt to have. If you're gonna put this into existing decks, that's where it gets tricky.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. So I think we'll have to see kind of how things play out there. So let's move on to arguably the most exciting part, which is going to be the reveals video. I feel like they save everything for these reveals, and so let's do the first one. Oh, that doesn't show up too well. Gil Arc scene card. Ultraman Arc of the movie, the clash of light and evil. So when a scene enters play, if you have a Gil Arc or an Arc, you may reveal the top 3 cards of a deck. Put one of those Gil Arcs into your hand and send the rest to your discard area. And then if you put a card, you have to discard a card. Do you have any thoughts on this one?
I mean, I haven't played Arc myself much. I've played against you with Arc many times, and Gil Arc is definitely set up to be a pairing with Arc, kind of how like you have Gaia Ghoul in the previous sets or Rosa Blue. So this scene pretty much works or is designed around them being there together, and then kind of helps benefit them both by revealing the top 3 and putting them in the discard. That helps like the Galaxy Armor style of Arc, being able to have the level 3 armors you want in the discard to swap things around with. And then typically a lot of the Arc cards are going to be designed to draw like Ultra Heroes or Arcs. Actually, the level 2 Arcs that let you discard 3 and take a Power Arm type, is that a Power Arm type Arc specifically? Is that how that one worked? Or is that Power Arm type Ultra Hero?
Yeah, it's an Arc specifically.
So with this, you'll have ways to pull those Gil Arcs to help a little bit with the consistency, because you wouldn't be able to. Well, I guess Arc is the draw 2, put 1 at the bottom of the deck. Or is it a reveal 3 and discard the rest?
Sorry, can you say that again?
Oh, sorry. The level 1 Arc card for drawing.
It's a draw 2. It's a draw 2.
Okay, so then that kind of already actually helps with a Kaiju deck, because you're able to draw Kaijus with that. So then this only helps you get more Gil Arcs. So I think it's good to help get your consistency. If you're going to play a 5, 6, 7 Gil Arc, you'll want something like this to get the one you're missing.
Yeah, I can see it personally. Not a fan. I guess it's the like resident Arc player on the channel, mostly because like getting stuff in the Discord is nice, but I haven't seen anything from Gil Arc that like really excites me. So I kind of feel like searching a Gil Arc is not that helpful, and Arc already has like the scenes Arc already has are so good. There's no, it really feels like there's no reason to be playing this card. If Gil Arc gets a triple rare and it's insane, I'll be singing a different tune probably. But based on what we've seen so far, I'm not not super in love with this one. I think the only interesting thing about the Gil Arc trip, like level 7 that we have seen, is that it says when a scene enters play, you can like get your effect, which means it's going to work on your opponent's turn too, which is kind of interesting. But
Mhm.
I'm not sure how that will really play out, but it could be like end up being like kind of a nice defensive tool in a way. So not really something we've seen before. So, you know, judgment's out on this one, but right now I'm gonna thumbs down it just because Arc has just
Yeah,
such good scenes already.
and yeah, he already has 2, and we'll have to see Gillark, but yeah, I agree with that one.
All right, let's move on to the orb scene, Sunset Wanderer. This card's so crazy. Activate once per turn, no cost. If you have orb, return 1 card from your hand to the bottom of your deck. If you do, draw a card at the end of this turn. This card is like so exciting to me because I think with the Ultraman card game, you do not see a lot of cards within each game. The games usually last 3-4 turns. You only start with 6 cards, and if you have a draw, you have draws and scene searchers, like you can get more cards in your hand. But overall, you don't end up seeing like that many cards in your deck, which means things can be a little inconsistent sometimes. And I think this card is the first card that really boosts that kind of consistency. So I'm really excited to see what we can do with this scene and with Orb. Um, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it immediately.
Yeah, I think I agree. It fixes a lot of issues with deck consistency. You're able to cycle out the cards you don't need. One of the things I'm wondering though, so since it's an activate,
Mm,
the longer you're able to have it on the field, the more and more value you're getting out of this. But how long do you think you'll be able to reliably hold it? Since it is a turn 1
mhm.
scene, if you lose lead at turn 2 or turn 3, your opponent can play something else. I don't think we've seen the strongest numbers yet on Orb. So
Yeah,
Orb alone probably won't help you hold lead, but then this is where the possibilities are endless. Do you do Orb
yeah.
and 0 holds lead for you, or
Hmm.
Orb and Mebius, and you can bump yourself up long enough, and then you can finally get your Mebius scene out later. I don't actually know about Orb Mebius as much, but that it's just more of the
Yeah.
there'll be a lot of pairings we can try out and see
So
what
I think
works.
like I've kind of mentioned this in passing. Like Orb is that like Ultraman for me this next set, which I'm just gonna try it with everything I can get my hands on to just kind of like see what I can come up with or like see what works well because it feels like it's so generic. Like you said, the power's not good, but if you guys haven't seen the triple rare, it's basically if you play it as a triple, you draw 2 cards. I think, and it gives an orb plus 1,000. But like what matters is that it draws 2 cards, and then this one lets you draw a card, and so it's just like an amazing. It feels like an amazing, like card advantage, drawing more cards, making your other part of your deck more consistent. That's going to pair well with anything. And I was already excited for it. This one like kind of goes more. I think the 2 ideas that kind of one that popped out to me during this video, but the one that I'm a little bit more interested in from before is when I saw the scene as an orb arc, because now you don't have to worry too as much about keeping that lead. Since it's a round 1 scene, the BP01 arc can pop it into play, and then you can just kind of keep going and keep digging. And so I could definitely see like an orb arc build that doesn't play arc to the future to get the power boosts, and just uses these kind of extra consistency scenes to good use. And so I'm kind of excited to try that out. And then the one that came to me during this video, we were talking about Alien Metron. How consistently can you get your kaiju pairs together? Well, Orb doesn't care what cards you're putting back. Orb's drawing cards, doesn't matter what they are. An Orb kaiju deck could definitely be a potential standout. Maybe Belial, or we'll see. But yeah, this card super. I was excited me so much when I saw it. It's like doesn't seem that much, but like there's a lot of possibilities here.
I think it's fair to say give this one thumbs up.
Mhm.
It's definitely the most versatile. It'll find a place and home in a lot of different Orb decks, and Orb himself already is set up to be a support that can work with a lot of different decks. So
Yeah,
definitely see a lot of these out there, at least just to figure out what works and doesn't work.
yeah. And then maybe the most exciting scene from this video is the last one, is Ginga's scene, the Battle for Dreams. So this is activate once per turn. You put the bottom card of one of your double or triple Ginga into its owner's hand, and then you give 2 of your single or double Ultra Heroes plus 2,000 BP. That's a big bump. And then you send the scene to its owner's discard. So there's a lot to digest there. Why don't you start off with your thoughts?
One thing that stood out, we haven't seen a turn 3 scene in a while.
Mhm,
There's not many of them, and I think we had I think it was a Decker scene, and then the Hikari scene were
mhm,
turn threes. So there, and those two aren't the strongest scenes out there in the world, or at least we don't see a lot of the Hikari scene. So turn three is not a turn I think people think of as much for fighting
mhm.
for, compared to at least turn two.
Yeah,
So having more interesting turn threes, especially playing against Ginga, we'll see how this works with how the play rhythm goes. I think another thing, I don't know if we haven't seen a lot of Ginga cards yet, so we don't know if this is hinting towards how Ginga's
right.
style of play will work. You know, Gaia Ghoul was very clearly if you put something back in your hand, you get a boost. So then, okay, all the Gaia Ghoul cards are gonna do that type of effect. I don't know what this means. If Ginga will have something that pairs with this, the ability to almost downgrade your lane.
Mhm,
Will it be able to downgrade other lanes, kind of like Gaia Supreme, to neutralize this disadvantage, or will it
mhm.
let you build back up? Who
Yeah.
knows what could happen?
Yeah, the Ginga could even be the first card ever that puts cards underneath the stack, which would be really spooky if you're trying to play against it and you don't know if they can just turn their 2/3 double into a triple out of nowhere. Um, that could go crazy. But I mean, even without knowing it, I think this scene is like super powerful. Basically, giving a plus 4,000 BP overall to 2 of any of your lanes. Like, I know, like from your experience playing Mebius, like doing a like lightning counter Mebius to discard 2,000 and then swap into, I think it's the Mebium Nightblade for another plus 2,000. That's a game winning combo right there, right?
Hmm.
And the Ginga scene is doing it all by itself. So, um,
This is turn. This is a okay. So since this is a turn uh, 3
mhm,
scene, turn 4 I think is going to be the scariest turn playing against the Ginga.
yeah,
Where imagine you have doubles or triples already out there.
mhm,
Um, you could have like a triple and then double double, and then turn 4 you could play just a double Ginga and
mhm,
play this effect on there. You kind of just get rid of that Ginga, and you're hoping that your double Gingas plus 2,000 can win those lanes, especially if you have other cards that like can do a BP grade increase.
mhm,
That way you get effectively a triple, or like Zero Slugger, for example. It's a
yeah,
double, but in many matchups it'll have 17k and then plus 2,000 on top of that. That could be terrifying to have a uh, ultimate zero slugger Ginga for the kill.
yeah. I think one of the other things that's really strong about these kind of effects, and that I mean, I haven't been able to try out Gaia Agul, but like one of the advantages if like you get to play in lanes and then decide later whether you're going to give them up, which is like just a different way of thinking that like not every deck can do that. They kind of have to preemptively guess like I'll just give up this lane and hopefully it works out. So that's kind of interesting. And then I wanted to touch on the round 3 scenes that you brought up before because we don't have a lot of them. I think the Tsubaraya hasn't really figured out what they want to do with round 3 scenes yet, because if you look at the round 2 scenes, a lot of them are like stuff that, I mean, at least the better ones with Mebius and Blazar, they're doing stuff every single turn. And the longer you have those out, the better it is for you. And for round 4 scenes, you've got the Geet scene, you've got the Gaia scene, which is not very good, and you've got the Zero scene. And these are like, I'm going to get the round 4 scene, and this is going to win me the game. They're like really strong, and they discard themselves, just like this Ginga scene. And then with round 3 scenes, they've got like a little bit of everything, where it's like the Decker scene is the first one we saw, which is an activate that stays there. So you get to use it every single turn, kind of like building that incremental advantage or just having that always there. You get the Hikari scene, which is just a one and done. And then you got this one, which is kind of a finisher. Like whereas the Hikari one is more like, feels like a setup like scene. And round 3 was just kind of weird, but the Ginga is more like the finisher. So like I think they haven't really figured out what to do with their round 3 scenes, or if that's just how they're going to be. You never really know that turn 3 whether it's going to be a finisher or whatnot for those scenes. But it's kind of interesting to think about.
Also, I was just even thinking, okay, the scene goes to discard area. If you're playing blue and Ginga, that's an extra 1,000 right there.
True.
That's
And
like 5,000
dangerous too.
BP if you have
Like
in one turn.
5,000 spread out the whole. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Definitely something to think about. And then that's it. Three cards from our video. The last card, which I honestly didn't expect another reveal today along with the video, so that was a pleasant surprise. And this card kind of blew my mind. So let's get to it. It's the Zero Beyond scene. There's a completely new activating effect we've never seen before, which they seem to like to do, right? Whenever you discard one or more cards from your hand, that's a hint at something for sure. We've never had discard multiple cards at the same time. Once per turn, if you have a Zero Beyond, you may draw a card. So, I mean, first things to know, right? We've never had discard more than one card at a single time. That definitely feels like a hint towards something in the future. And we've also never had cards that care about the name of your other cards. Usually it's the like character type 0, but this one doesn't work with zeros. It works with Zero Beyond, which is quite interesting. And also, if you have Zero Beyond, you can draw a card. So anytime you discard a card, you just draw a card now. That's like, it kind of exploded my brain. What was your first impressions?
Yeah, now I'm trying to think, what does Zero Beyond pair well with? If the scene itself, I think, yes, if you're able to have a Zero and Arc deck that works well together, and you're able to now keep more cards in your hand because you don't have to discard when you do all those different Arc effects. That card advantage is really important. But there's two things that kind of stand out now. The more I look at it, is one, it's actually a common, which normally the really good scenes we think of are the uncommons.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that's hinting towards something. And then second is, yes, it is Zero Beyond. It's a very specific subset of Zero, which I don't think we've seen the strongest cards for yet, if I remember right. There's the uncommon we looked at earlier in the video where it was the...
Yeah,
sorry, that was... Yeah, this one. Its effect is a little bit better when you have the scene. Originally, when we saw this one, I don't know if this is like the Zero triple you'd want to go with, just because there are other Zero triples that out there that are far better on a triple effect. But now that you're tied to a Zero Beyond subset, maybe it's a little better because you want to have a Zero Beyond out there. You could have regular 1-2 zeros, and then this triple is how you get to Zero Beyond. I don't know if we've seen a level 1 Zero Beyond. I know we've seen level 2 Zero Beyond.
I don't think we've seen any level 1s, and I kind of feel like that's probably okay.
Yeah.
And honestly, I kind of hope that we won't see a level 1 Zero Beyond. Mostly in the sense that, like, I worry if there's a level 1 Zero Beyond, it will be another, like, draw 2, discard 1, or draw 2, put 1 on the bottom. And Zero doesn't need 2 of those.
Yeah, that would be... I was thinking just like a vanilla Zero Beyond level 1, but even then,
we could have a vanilla Zero Beyond.
But that's where I want to go back and find the other. I think it was a double R or for a single R, Zero Beyond level 3 that was revealed in Japanese.
Yeah, so I remember that
Yeah.
one. You can discard a card, so it synergizes with the new scene.
Mhm.
And what it does is I believe it gives a power type Geed plus a BP up.
Mhm.
So that's probably the intended use for this kind of combo. Is you have the Zero Beyond, he's supporting Geed, and instead of having every time you discard a card, you get the card back. So it's not that big of a deal. But I think this card is so versatile that it's going to get a little crazy, and I think even this guy, the Zero Beyond, is like a discard one, draw one is not so great, but a discard one, draw two is pretty excellent. And I know it's only a 16,000, but I think you'll live, and we might see another Zero Beyond that is potentially even better. So it'll kind of depend on what more Zero Beyonds we see, but I can definitely see some like crazy pairings from this. Maybe maybe honestly this is the future of Mebius, having a Zero Beyond, and sometimes with Mebius I noticed that you end up having to discard so many cards just to kind of like keep the game going. But Mebius is such a strong deck that the more cards you have, the better the game is going for you in general. And so even if um, you don't have the Mebius scene, this kind of gives you another scene option that is just gonna take your deck to like insane heights, I think.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's a pairing. I want to see what the zero cards out there will work. Because let's if you go with the ratio like 6-6-4 or 5-5-5-4-4-4, different ones that we've
Yeah.
seen with Hikari, or like I think maybe Stiga or some of the other ones. What zero cards would you play there? I mean, you could do the level 1 drawing 0.
Hmm.
That one could work. But then level 2 0 options, you lose like maybe the Hikari or Tiga scene searching.
Yeah. If the
You
Zero Beyond gets a scene search, we could be in some interesting territory.
and that's what I would want to see. I think this now I have mixed feelings. Like, do you play a deck just for the scene? Blazar's is one of the few. Like, oh, I really like the Blazar scene. Okay, how can we work with that? Trying to think
Mhm.
of other scenes that like this one that sounds really good, but then can we make the heroes it's tied to? Because Blazar, you have actually all of Blazar to work with.
Right. You have
This
access to all the
one,
Blazars, and
yeah.
they're all strong. And like Zero Beyond, like I get what you're saying. Is it going to be good enough to make up for the fact that the other Zero Beyond cards you're playing are kind of doo doo? Yeah.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's Zero Beyond. Okay, so I'd have that level 3 triple Zero Beyond, 16k, which I'm not able to buff, so that's kind of scary.
Mhm.
And then the one that bumps G'd, I forget which power that one had, but that's kind of also an effect that
That one, I think it's a 13 double, 16
mhm.
triple, but it works on double and triple, so you're not like hurting.
Wait,
You
that
probably
was the one
actually
that
want to play that one on double.
But that one actually bumps Geed, right?
Yeah, it will bump Geeds.
So then this is kind of where I'm worried. Like,
Hmm.
it, you, I mean, as long maybe that card advantage will help you win your other lanes, and then it's still worth
Hmm.
it. Um, that's why I really want to see before I make my final call on this one.
Yeah.
How good is Zero Beyond as a character? Because it's half zero, but it's also half not zero.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. I think we're going to kind of get into rambling territory if we keep going on. Let us know in the comments what's your favorite card from this week. Um, I think if I had to take a pick, it's it's so hard between this one. I think I'm gonna have to go with the orb scene, just because I'm excited for orb already, and this one kind of
Mhm.
blows the door even more wide open. Do you have a favorite card for this week?
I think I mean the zero one was interesting. Definitely, I had to think about it for a while. I think the Ginga one is actually where I really want to see what you can do with it. If you're
Mhm.
playing like a very aggressive deck where you play a lot of doubles and try and make them stack up.
Yeah.
This could definitely you turn 4, play the scene, give them a bunch of boosts, and try and go for a not too early, not too late kill turn.
That's very true. And I think they kind of hinted next week will be the Ginga Triple R, so we'll find out really how good this scene is. Make sure you tune in for us as well next week to get our thoughts on it. And we'll see you then.
Mm-hmm.
Bye.
Thanks.